Hi guys. Hi Nazneen.
Hi, Shweta.
How are you?
Good to see you. How are you?
Very well, very well. Glad to catch you on a Saturday. My God, with your busy schedule, my God, huh? We
I,
wanted to catch you on Sunday, which is tomorrow, some children's special day, and we couldn't get you tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow.
uh, I'm
Uh,
doing tomorrow and
yeah.
packed my son off to the
Oh,
playground. So I'm heading.
oh, yeah. You can't hear him in the background. Okay, lovely, lovely, lovely. Okay, so we're just gonna wait for 2 minutes to let people join in, and I think, yeah, I think we can do that. We
Sure.
can just wait. Yeah, we're just getting some people to join
Am
in.
I
How you?
audible? Sir?
Yes, yes, absolutely. Am I audible?
Yeah. Yeah.
How have you been? How's the
Good. Um,
busy lockdowns?
I I start full time work after a week.
Oh
So
yeah,
my last like so far I've been doing like part time assignment. Now it's going
yeah.
to be full teaching and full time teaching online. So I don't know how that's going to.
God, that is the new normal. That is absolute new normal. I think we've all got to get used to it. Yeah, we're getting
I
used to it as parents. I mean, you've got to see it.
So I'm going to meet my new bunch of online. So
Yeah, so fancy. My God, my God. Okay,
Deepika is saying Nazneen is breaking up a little.
a bit. Yeah,
Am I breaking up?
yeah. Just I think when I speak, that's where you're breaking. So I'll just try and not interrupt you while you are speaking. Maybe your line is a bit weak.
Okay, what if I say something now? Fine.
Suddenly it cracks. Just a couple of words.
I don't know what to do about
It's
that now.
okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
Okay.
It's fine. It's fine. Good. Good. Okay, I think we can start. It's 5:03. So let's start. Okay, Nazneen, welcome and thanks everyone for joining. I can see a lot of people have joined. And Nazneen, like I told you, I have some questions separately sent to me. I'll
Okay.
pick them up a lot as we go along. So, welcome, Nazneen. And just to introduce you very simply, you're also a qualified psychologist. Is that right? You study psychology. Sorry, is that
I
right?
study. I
Yeah,
study.
and you're not practicing it yet, but yes,
No.
yes. And you're a special educator, and you've actually taught children, and that's your passion in India and abroad. And you still continue to hone your skills and keep adding so many degrees and diplomas. I can't even list them out. So over to you, and please do tell us something. Introduce yourself and tell us, of course, about Reading Umbrella as well.
Okay. So basically, I studied psychology, but never took it up as a career. I went on becoming a special educator, and my specialization lies in learning disabilities, specifically dyslexia. So I've worked with a lot of students who have language-based difficulties. And then I branched off from there to become a support teacher. So I work with students kindergarten onwards on developing the right kind of and I started umbrella. I had my and I was not, and I thought it would just be nice to with everybody just facts about reading. Because a lot of people think reading just happens, but I will touch upon that in a that reading doesn't just happen.
No.
So that's how I started the reading umbrella, and now I'm documenting my journey with my son, who's 2.5, and just all the activities I do play with him, and I also share about technical reading concepts, but in an easy to understand. That's how reading umbrella came about, and that's why I'm running it.
No, fantastic. No, I think nothing better than having your own. I think a prodigy at home. Your kid, your little sample test sample right there. You can keep experimenting with him. What works, what doesn't. That's a great way.
Hmm.
So let's get and thank you so much today for also fine tuning your. Material to actually catering to our audience, which are all pregnant women, new moms, and who are really trying to grapple with this whole thing. Obviously we get so much information, but one of the things is that, are you communicating with your kid in the womb? Are you talking to them? I don't know if it's normal. I don't know if that is comfortable for most people. Is it helpful? So do tell us, what is this technique, and how do you do it, and how is it helpful? Do tell us
Okay.
that.
I just see a comment saying voice is breaking, Nazneen. Do you want me to look into my internet and try and log on again?
You can do that. You can do that. We can just wait for you. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Just give me a second. I don't know if it will work, but try. Give me a
Sure.
so I
Sure.
will screen
Log
share.
off and log in. Yeah. So we're just waiting for Nazni.
Any better, Shraddha?
Yeah, I think so. Continue. I think it'll get settled. Yeah.
Yeah,
Can
I'm
you hear
just on
me?
my Wi-Fi. I can hear.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Just go on. Go
Okay.
on.
Okay, so coming to talking to your baby in the womb, there is a lot of research that talks about it. It says that it is something that pregnant moms should. But I'll start off by talking about find this very weird. I mean, let's face it, it's kind of weird talking to your belly. You know, it's not something that comes naturally to anyone. And to those
Right.
when I get asked questions from my peers, I tell them it's okay if you're not reading to your or you're not talking to your kid in the womb because once you have all this time for language development. So if you're uncomfortable and not for you, that's totally fine. You're not harmed. Now let's come to those women who are okay with it or who are comfortable with doing it. A lot of research shows that it is a very relaxing activity for moms themselves. If they were to just slow down and take a few moments to talk to their baby, it lowers fetal heart rate. So if baby is restless and a lot of kicking or there's discomfort, it definitely lowers the heart rate. And research is also showing that in utero language development is happening. So, for example, 24 weeks onward is when the baby in the uterus can start listening to the mother's voice or the father's voice, and what it sounds like to the baby, like if I were to talk like that. So
Okay.
it's muffled, but the baby
Yeah.
can hear you. It's
Okay.
not so much the words at that
Yeah.
stage, but they are the rhythm of language.
Yeah.
And later, when children learn language, it's actually based on that's how we learn language. That's how children communicate amongst different languages. So what you're giving to them is not word vocabulary. It's just the initial bond, the secure attachment. All of that can start in the womb.
Sure.
Now, was very interesting research which was done by the University of Oregon. They gave ladies who were in their last few weeks of pregnancy made up word, and that made up word they had to hear over and over again over many.
Okay.
When the babies were born, through neural imaging studies, they found when they heard that made up or that word, and even variations of that word, baby reacted. So clearly, in you, some language development has begun.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Then there's another very all the way back in 1980 said babies after they are born recognize the theme song of their mom. So again, they are getting something. And another thing showed that native language kids can pick up when they are in the womb. So what they did was they took American children and gave them English words, and there was no reaction from those kids after they were born. And then English, and they showed a reaction. And Swedish kids after they were born, no reaction, but they heard some words in the language that they're familiar with or their native language, and so definitely research is finding that there are links between language and coding.
Okay, lovely. So I think if one is comfortable with talking to their womb and the baby inside the womb, they should go for it because there is a lot of research to basically support that there is. So I can support the fact that it's a good thing to have for the kid to recognize your language in a while and things like that.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
But at the same time, moms should take that call for themselves and not do something that they are very uncomfortable with.
Sure. Absolutely. And tell us, what is the biggest benefit? One is they recognize language. Is it stimulating them in any other way? Is it intelligence, IQ, creativity, behavior, any other thing that impacts them while we communicate with them while they're at the womb, in the womb?
So when I was researching this, I saw that, so this is still an ongoing research field.
Sure.
There's some research that shows it definitely benefits them. Neuron connections are happening. New neurons are being formed. But then there is also research that says you can do all of that after the baby is born as well. So I don't think there is a conclusion piece, at least I haven't come across anything conclusive that links it to IQ or creativity.
Okay, that's interesting. So at least it's something that is limiting or at least substantiated towards at least simple learning. If not much more than that, at least it does enhance learning skills or just familiarity with language and familiarity with yourself as well, right?
Yes.
With the parent as well. Yes.
Yeah, and
Okay.
just bonding,
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
reaction.
Yeah. We just got a question in. I think we could take that. Which books should one read to a 6-month-old baby?
Okay, so I in fact have kept some books with me that I have used a lot with my son. The 0 to 3 age group, I'll just start with the 0 to 3 months and then I'll hit the 6 months. 0 to 3 months use a lot of black and white books because research again shows that children cannot see all colors, but they can see black and white. So high contrast black and white images. So just like a zigzag pattern or spirals, kids are very like that. So black and white books after birth, cloth books, these go with the child. So these are simple cloth books, um, one word on them, and these will grow with the child. You can even give them to a 6-month-old because they tend to put it in the mouth. A baby or a book with their mouth. So I have soft cloth books and simple picture books with one word and one image on them. So that's what I would use for 3 months. 6 months, I would introduce books like these, which are finger puppet books. So the finger puppet, and then you flip each page, and it's a very simple story, just about 2 lines and about 4. So kids would love finger puppet books.
Something.
The other books I would use is vocabulary books. So simple book with a picture and a word of different. So that's another example. I would use on concept. For example, this is all about colors. So again, simple books like lift. These are called lift tap.
Okay.
So anything which concept I would pick. And with this age group, I wouldn't give you specific titles. I'll give you the type of books and then you find. Then I love these type of wordless books. Night Good is like a classic. So for this one doesn't have too many words. It's just pictures.
All right.
Just walk through the pictures. I also love books that have a pattern. But in this one, on each page, the pattern is repeated. So it's like brown bear. I see a red bird looking at me. Red bird. So the pattern. So these are repetitive books. And the last kind of book that I recommend is books which have a lot of rhyme. So I love one since he was born, and this one goes, it's time for bed, little goose, the stars are out and on the look. So the whole book has its verse in rhyming. So 6 months onwards, these would be great types of books to use.
Great. I hope, Pooja, that answered your question. And I think someone asked the price, but I think that would be subject to where you buy them from, subject to Amazon or wherever. I think so. Sorry, I think that we leave to where you can find them. And I think people are actually picking out the point that someone's favorite is this and someone's favorite is the other. So you have, I think, picked up some of the ones that people are really resonating with over here. So that's nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
These are classic.
Okay.
Share.
Okay. Lovely. So, so just moving on from the topic. So, what is the other aspect of reading to a baby in the womb? What else can you tell us about this practice? If one should follow the benefits of it, or the better way to do it, or
so one is reading. The other thing that I would also one is sitting down reading. So, for example, there is a book like this one I was reading to my. He was in the womb. Good night, my darling baby. I have every night I read this book. But if you don't want to read, there's a lot of research that also shows songs are very good in utero. So either you singing, baby singing. And I know some like to put the earphones here. I feel you do that. Like if you're just listening to music around you. So reading, music, and also general talking helps. So if you're someone who doesn't want to sit down and read, even just talking or just narrating about your day, even that has benefits for the child. I wouldn't say one way of doing it. It's just what works for every mom, what you can fit into your schedule.
Sure, sure. So we have a question. How do you encourage bilingual vocabulary struggling with my little one?
Very interesting. I get this question a lot, and I love this question. I get it at school as well. I've taught in a lot of international schools. So earlier, so in the earlier times, they said give the child the language that the child learn in school. That was one school of thought. Now research is showing that till the age of 4, there is a lot of brain plasticity. So introduce as many languages as you can to the child till the child is 4, but in a fun manner. Not like sit down and I'm going to talk to you for 10 minutes in Spanish. So for instance, I start growing 3 languages. I speak a different language. My mother tongue is different, and English is the common language. He is, so for him the predominant language is English, but he understands my husband's language. Don't expect bilingual to talk to you in bilingual manner also. They may understand you, but they may not. Now, why they understand you is because receptive language comes first, expressive language comes later. Receptive is the listening. So they're getting all the listening, and from that they are that. But they may not have the expressive, which is the speaking, because their one language is over. Now, another thing you notice with bilingual children is sometimes they may speak later than other children, but they catch up. It's fine. Another thing you will notice is they will interchange words with 2 languages, and that also inherently brains categorize language. Research shows this, that brains can categorize language based on rhythm and pattern. So just give your Indians especially. Yeah, most Indians especially grow up bilingual and we turn out just fine. Like most of us in today's world know at least 2 languages, and we've turned out as much exposure. If you're in a bilingual, don't hold back. Talk in both languages, read in both languages. If you're watching something, watch in both languages. It's absolutely fine.
Okay. So we have a question that what is a better medium? I think I'll just rephrase that. What is a better medium, and what does it look like in terms of video screen time versus reading at night? Because Kindle, is it really reading, or should they move to books or something? Views on that?
I cannot recall if it was the American Pediatric Association that said most screen time for children 2 years of age. So a Kindle would come under category.
Yeah.
So before 2 years of age, practice time, and after 2 years of age, I'm not going to tell you what's right or wrong for you. You have to decide as per your own circumstances. There is research that shows that children do not get too much screen time, but also positive screen time. Like what if you're watching a story on TV, you know? So every parent's decision. But basically, for 2 years of age, try as far as possible 0 screen time. So I wouldn't recommend Kindle reading. I would recommend an actual paper for child.
Yeah, paper book, yeah. And especially when we're covering the age group today of newborns, or rather unborns right now in the womb, to just birth, just newborns to maybe under 6 months, we would say what is the best way to indulge with them. Yes.
So when you are reading to your unborn child, it doesn't matter what medium you are reading. It also doesn't matter what you are reading. I mean, if you want to read a magazine, go ahead and read it. Like you don't have to. You don't have to read to your child. Plus, at that age, they don't understand what you are reading. They are listening to your voice. They are having tone, your rhythm. They don't care about. So if you are reading a brochure or a recipe out to them, they don't care as long as it's father's voice. So don't worry about what you are reading. Pick up anything. So while the baby is in the womb, it doesn't really matter if you are reading Goodnight Gorilla off of a Kindle versus out of a book. After the child is born, I would urge you at least till 2 years of age to try and stay away from screen time.
Okay. Now, these are 2 questions we got offline, so I'll just take them before we finish off on our time. One, I think, said that what if my kid is, right now her kid is about 4 months old, and what if he's not at all taking to reading? He's just not even picking up a book. What can they do?
4 months old?
for months, not even picking up, but he's just not interested. He probably wants to kick around and do anything. He doesn't. He cries or he's acting up when it's a reading time. He's not settling down, reading a book or anything. He not reading a book, but being read to. He doesn't like that at all. So about 4.5 months is what they've said.
So I would say pick another time of the day. First of all, identify when are you reading.
Okay.
Is the baby hungry? Is the baby soiled? The best time to read to newborns is when they are in a happy state of mind. So diaper has happened. Feeding is not coming the way, because see, their primal needs have to be met to go on to something like reading. So
Absolutely.
all identify that. Is the baby in a, what zone is the baby in?
Absolutely.
That's something to identify. Second, I tell this to parents even who tell me my 5-year-old doesn't want to read. Then I tell them, stop it at that point of time. You cannot
Yes.
force onto even a newborn. So if
Yeah.
you feel a baby is not responding, just drop it at that point of time. Try
Okay.
again at another time. If
Okay.
you feel certain kind of book, because my son showed preference early on. There were some books he just wouldn't like, and there are some even now that he wants to read on loop. So you have to take your cue from them.
Okay.
So make sure that the baby is comfortable. Try the material, and if reading is not working for 4-month-old, try singing. Like, it's nothing set in stone, right? Just try it. Reading is not working. You don't like me reading from a book? Okay, I'll sing a song to you, or I'll tell a song for you, or I'll just talk to you. So it doesn't, I say, get so bogged down by reading.
Right.
And no child should be forced.
Yeah.
You do best,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very fair point. I think time of day when you choose, and if it's also important, if they don't react to reading, then probably try music. And again, I think it matters again because we're covering the age bracket of under 6 months. I guess is very, very difficult. I would say to get their attention for a longer span than even 10 minutes. I would say, right? So at that time it's very difficult, yeah, but I think parents react to the fact that there is they jump to conclusions that they have ADHD or something, or are they like really, why they're not settling for 10 minutes, or that's a question, because when this got aired, or rather when we put this out, somebody said that, oh, can I ask a question about ADHD and all? I said, you surely can, but we are looking at addressing under 6 months old babies, so please do not categorize kids already under 6 months of age.
Can I just in for the ADHD? We don't diagnose children formally up till grade 2 or 3.
Oh wow.
So you have all the time of the child is 7 or 8 years old, had enough instruction, had enough schooling, only then you go into formal diagnosis.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, and Nazreen, tell us that okay, again, because we're specifically talking about newborns or in the womb, what is the scientific or not even scientific? What is the disadvantages, if at all any, if you don't communicate at all with your baby? Just generally, if someone doesn't know this, is there anything that you feel you can leave a point on? Anything at all?
So Shraddha, it's interesting because every type is different. I have a friend who did not talk to the baby in the womb at all. Once the baby was here, she started talking to the baby. I have another friend who said in the first 3 months, it was very difficult for me to talk to my people. Say all the research is geared towards talkative women. I mean, what if you are someone who is not, who cannot talk, not want to talk to this inanimate, almost inanimate object?
Yeah.
I tell such moms, don't have to do it. You sit down and you decide. I'm not chatty. I cannot tell my baby everything about the day, but while feeding my baby, I'm going to hum a song or sing a song. So that's my only pocket in the day. Or when I am massaging the baby, I tell my baby a story. Or just before bedtime, I'll tell my baby a story. So that takes the pressure from women who are like, I want all the time. Okay, you talk to your kids for 5 minutes a day or 10 minutes in the day, and other than that, the kid will get language when you're talking to your partner. The kid is there. It's not like the kid is growing up without any language. So it's okay. And there are also women who have postpartum depression, and that's fine. You have to take care of yourself that time, and once you're not communicating with your baby, it's fine. The baby will pick up after 3 months. So I just say, look at it in a small capsule? Can you just talk to your baby while bathing them? Can you have a quick interaction while you're feeding them? So break up your day, and that in fact, even the mom can say, okay, I can read one book for 3 hours in the day.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. No, very fair point. Very fair point. I think we forget to test with the baby, and same I speak with my own experience. I think we forget to realize that the baby is new to us and we are new to the baby, and we're just in the first 6 months, we're just getting to know each other. We're just getting to know their routine. They get to know our routine. So if I think massaging the baby and talking to the baby is a great time. I remember I probably did some of that because I didn't have time otherwise to sit around and chat and do poo and all. I was, busy with my venture. So it was just so impossible. The times used to be dinner time maybe or something. I think it was all right. I mean, she turning out just fine. So yeah.
Exactly.
So
So then
yeah,
I just
yeah.
one more point, which I think is very important, is as far as possible. I know it's very tempting to see a baby and we want to start doing baby talk. Baby talk
Yeah.
has one advantage to a child.
Yeah, yeah.
Talk to a baby in proper sentences using proper grammar,
Sure.
because that's how they will learn the language. If I
Right.
keep doing kuchiku sounds, then the baby gets confused as to what's the correct language. Now, a
Sure.
few words here and there, okay, if you have a word for water or if you have a word for food, but actually, made up words do nothing for the child as the child grows. So, from day one, try and keep baby talk zero.
Minimum.
Minimum. Try to talk to your baby in full grammar, full sentence, so that the brain starts understanding this is
Yeah.
language
This is
formation.
right. Right. Okay. No. No. Very fair point. I think language, communication, expressions, all of those things. I think come from. I think it starts with us because we are the adult in the relationship with our baby, and I think they pick it up from us and they kind of take it from there. So if we keep in the cuckoos and kakas, they're probably going to just wonder that why didn't you just say water? I would have understood water. So yeah,
Right.
I mean that's absolutely my take always as well, that they're going to get up and say, food is food, what was wrong with you, why were you trying to give it another word at all? I would understand it eventually. I may not
Exactly.
be able to say it. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, anything else, Nazneen? Do tell us from the points I know that you had wanted to speak on the 6 months and below. Anything? Am I forgetting any point? Sorry.
I'm just thinking, have I covered everything? One thing parents often ask me, so I'll take the question, is how early should we start
Yeah.
reading? Or they ask me, am I too late? My kid is 4 years old, I'm not reading to my kid. It's never too early, it's never too late. So evolutionary perspective wise, our brains are not wired. Reading doesn't just happen. You have to systematically teach reading to a child. As a popular belief that reading just happens. It doesn't happen for many children. So don't worry about it being too early. It's never too early. And don't worry about it being too late. If your kid is 4 and you've not been reading to your kid, today is a good day to start.
Great.
So
Great.
this is a question I get often, that,
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
it too
Yeah.
late? Never too early, never too late.
Fantastic. And do you think it's one of those habits that, if not developed, are very difficult to develop or hone much later in life, or is it one of those ones that you can pick up? Because they say that if you don't see your parents reading, you will very rarely sit down with a book. If they are TV addicts, you're very rarely going to just pick up a book on your own. Especially a toddler, or if you want to start introducing them at night time reading and stuff like that.
See, Shraddha, in our times, it's difficult to see a parent reading. I am a voracious reader myself, but my son doesn't see me reading because I read on my Kindle. So don't worry about not seeing you reading. Worry about what you can do. Can you read to your kids? Can you provide books to your kids? Worry about that. The observational learning which you're talking about, that is watching and comes much later. In the first few years, because like I can't, I'm alone with my son all day. I don't have full-time help. I can't sit down and with a 2.5-year-old when I have other chores to be done. But I read for an hour after he. So he's not watching me, but still my son is turning out so far to be a reader. He has a reading corner. He likes to go whatever. He flips through his books. So I tell parents, don't think about, oh, they're not watching me read. It's okay. You can be a good role model. You just read to them, you provide to them, and do your best to try and raise them. There is no guarantee that my 2.5 son will be a voracious reader when he's 10 years old.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah. So we have another question. No, very fair point. Thank you for that. And Andy Musty is asking us another question. Any storybooks for under 6 months? I think, Andy, we just answered that. But I think what we'll do after this call, we'll just get Nazin, if you can list them down, some of the examples on the links, and we can share that with you, Andy Musty. That should be helpful for you. Okay, I think we can close, but I think one last question just came in. It's gone up the chain. Is that when you're looking at reading to a child, is there already an understanding of what do I say? Do they understand emotions already? Do they get scared of violent ending books? I know, like for example, you have all these. You want to read a, all these rhymes are very actually violent. Like, I mean, they have a very violent streak in them. Like, Humpty Dumpty fell off, then Jack and Jill came tumbling down. So, all of these ones. So there's a lot of, what do I say, violence and force in all of them. Is it somewhere they don't like rhymes? Have you ever heard? Because this you got a question that is there, why is this there?
So typically before 1.5, there's so much of comprehension, which is why if you see very early books, they will have animal characters, they will have happier endings, sort of a thing, because very limited. It's only after 1.5 that they start actually comprehending what they are doing, like who are the characters, what's in this book. I'm not on research, I haven't come across, so I don't want to say something wrong. But just from my own son's experience, he quite enjoys rhyme. I think they rhyme for the way it sounds, for the lyrical versus the actual word.
Words.
I don't think right now he has that understanding for 2.5 with understand that a rhyme has double.
Yeah, because we were really surprised that once we do delve deeper into rhymes, they all have such a violent streak in them, like Humpty Dumpty fell off and this one went here, and what is that, Rockabye Baby had a great fall. So we're like, why are we reading such gory nursery rhymes and putting them to bed with those? So it was a very cute question we got from someone, and they wanted to know, but obviously not from a comprehension perspective, more that why are they the way they are? Why do they have this streak in them? But that's interesting. We should cover that in our next session when we do over 3 years or 4 years kids. We'll do that.
Controversial stories also. Just from a story, like if you think about Snow White and the
Oh my God!
Like,
yes.
Very controversial stories now in today's time.
In today's time, yeah. There's a lot of analysis on what they were really trying to get there. Yes, absolutely. Okay, so wonderful. I think. Nazin, this has been absolutely great. I think it's a real amazing, area of discussion we've had today, honestly. And I think India has such a gap in this segment. It is great that you are doing this, and I'm sure we're going to get a lot of feedback or questions on this going forward. So great, and great work at your end, honestly. And we're very happy that you could take time out to come here today. We have any questions, and we will share them with you, and you can obviously address them directly as well on our platform.
Sure, I'll do that. Thank you, Shraddha, for having me over. I enjoyed this.
Yes, we've enjoyed it too. Thank you very much. We'll see you.
See you.